Hello, and a warm welcome to you all from South Australia. I'm Dan van Holst Pellekaan, South Australia's Minister for Energy and Mining, and we're proud to have a strong presence at PDAC 2021. The South Australian Government regards PDAC as the world's premier mineral and exploration forum. PDAC is where leaders and innovators come together to share new and innovative solutions. Our goal today is to give you a better appreciation of what South Australia is doing to drive the next wave of opportunities for mineral exploration and mining growth. South Australia is a global centre of excellence, having attracted international partners who are leaders in green energy innovation, machine learning, emerging high-tech industries such as space, defence, automation and cybersecurity, and reshaping the mineral exploration and mining sector. In 2020, South Australia recorded a 10-year high in production sales volume and royalties from energy and mining. And 2020 saw the official opening of Oz Minerals' Carrapateena project, SA's latest copper and gold mine. We all face extremely challenging global conditions, but these challenges give rise to new opportunities. Our achievements show that South Australia is not only open for business, but is forging ahead. Through this time, companies, small and large, are implementing new technologies across their operations. And as you will hear from today's presentations, the shift in mindset is being applied to traditional areas such as health and safety, working with local communities, solving mining and energy's technical challenges, and also encompasses data mining, digital exploration, new space-age technologies. In South Australia, we continue to be at the forefront of global energy solutions. As well as the world's original big battery, the 100 megawatt Tesla battery, which has since been expanded to 150 megawatts, we have 13 gigawatts of investment in renewable technologies and energy storage solutions. And copper is the essential element in an expanding global green energy future, and South Australia hosts 2/3 of Australia's copper resource. Production from the state's 3 large copper mines, Olympic Dam, Prominent Hill, and Carrapateena, makes up 2/3 of the state's total mineral exports. Major copper miners are not only contributing the minerals we need to support the green energy revolution, but are also reducing carbon emissions in their own operations. We are well on the path to green copper production, with green steel production to follow. And like you, we see significantly enhanced opportunities from consumers wanting to know how responsibly these metals are being produced. South Australia will also become a green hydrogen producer, consumer, and exporter, partnering with customers in the neighbouring Asia-Pacific economies. Today's program will also touch on the specialty minerals we have in South Australia, which are fundamental to decarbonisation and electric mobility. We have emerging potential to mine rare earths and critical minerals vital to the high-tech industries of the future. And the mining technology and equipment sector is an incredibly important contributor to mineral discovery and production, especially in the Space 4.0 era. We're investing in dynamic, collaborative innovation spaces, forging a public-private partnership with the Core Innovation Hub at Lot 14 in the Adelaide CBD, and our satellite innovation precinct at Tonsley in our southern metro area. The Core Innovation Hub fuses diverse talents in a new way to collaboratively activate scale technologies in the big data era, providing the very best information in quantity, quality, and availability is driving exploration that will underpin our continued success. And dynamic projects supported by our Accelerated Discovery Initiative highlighted the range of innovation in play, spanning slalom high-definition seismic reflection to using wireless sensors for remote mapping of heat flow. Through 2021, in collaboration with the National MinEx CRC, our geological survey will embark on a public drilling campaign that will further build on our extensive geological database. New approaches, the best technology, and new data can deliver faster and better investment decisions, leading to more cost-effective and better mineral discoveries. And our stable, ethical, and supportive government means that project partners and investors can be confident they are in the right place and working with the right people in South Australia. We welcome your interest as we strive to be among the world's most sustainable and technologically advanced mining destinations. Our energy and mining strategy encapsulates how we will build on our momentum in partnership with industry to seize even more opportunities. Speakers today will provide deep dives into the dynamic approaches South Australia has to offer. I also thank you very much for this opportunity to contribute today to PDAC 2021.
Thank you for taking the time to join us today for the South Australian session at this PDAC conference for 2021. My name's Alex Blood. I'm Executive Director for Mining at the South Australian Department for Energy and Mining. And it'll be my great pleasure to host you and our participants from our industries here today. But before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that the land from which we are presenting today is the traditional lands of the Kaurna people, and we pay our respects to the elders past, present and emerging. Before we start, I'll quickly introduce Sasha Krneta, Principal Geologist, Boart Longyear, David Giles, the Strand Leader, and John Ralston, Chair of the Minerals and Energy Future Industries Institute at the University of South Australia, Ian Gregory, Greenfields Exploration Manager at Western Areas, Chris Stevens, Chief Executive Officer at CODA Minerals, Gavin Schwartz, Head of the South Australian Operations of lluka Resources, and Katie Hulmes, General Manager, Transformation and Readiness at Oz Minerals. We have a mix of mining operators, explorers, academia and global technology leaders here today, and I'm delighted to have everyone here. We wanted to share their experience with you on why their success has been able to occur in South Australia in the fields of exploration, technology and minerals. And so our first question is to Sasha today. And Sasha, I guess many people here don't know that Boart Longyear's Asia Pacific Regional Headquarters and the R&D and Engineering Centre is actually based here in South Australia. And I guess my questions for you are, what was the reasoning behind that choice for Boart Longyear? And working with geoscience data and drilling innovation as core parts of your business, can you touch on how you feel South Australia is well placed to support that?
So I guess traditionally, Longyear as a business had a presence in Adelaide, and I guess that was it's sort of centrally located within the country, big manufacturing base and whatnot. But in terms of getting more into the geoscience side and the data collection and a lot of the R&D that we're doing. In South Australia, we have a really good base, and I guess as a global company, we could have based that in anywhere. But in South Australia and Adelaide, we have the core library where we have a large amount of geological material that we can test all our, analytical inventions and innovations on. We have a very varied geology. And we have an R&D test site that's located half an hour to 45 minutes away from the city. But at the same time, we have, a lot of support, both from industry, from government, and a lot of, we have a really good mix of sort of junior, mid-tier and large mining companies within the state. And it just provides for a really good collaborative environment where we can think of things, build them quickly, test them quickly, fail often, fail fast, and get to our objectives. So,
thanks, Sasha. And David, that kind of rolls nicely into R&D. And I guess as Chief Scientist for the Australian research collaboration that's called MINEX CRC, or Cooperative Research Centre for those from overseas, what are your views on South Australia as a research centre for the industry, and what collaborations are moving the needle for operators and explorers?
So two parts there, I guess. Why South Australia? MINEX CRC has a joint headquarters here in South Australia and in Western Australia, and it comes off the back of 20 or 30 years of collaborative research in South Australia, centred on the state government, actually, but where the real strength is collaborations between government, the academic sector, industry, not just end users in industry, but very much the MET sector. And that's the real strength of the South Australian R&D spaces, as Sasha mentioned. That's why I came here 15 years ago. and it's very much the direction that we've tried to take. So, we're about identifying the areas of science and technology that can make a difference, and pulling together consortia that involve those four groups: government, industry, end users of the technology. That's the miners and the explorers, and the met sector that eventually, or once the tech is developed, are going to push it out there to the miners who can use it. So the best example I can give of that, not because it's the only example, but just because it's one I'm most familiar with, is the MinEx Cooperative Research Centre. And that's based on the idea of identifying a key problem that we need to solve. In Australia, like many other places in the world, that key problem is cover. We've found a lot of mineral deposits in this country. It's underwritten our prosperity. They're all in rocks that are sticking out of the ground, and the 70% of the country that's under cover, some of it really deep cover, we really haven't scratched the surface of exploring there. So, really clear rationale for us. If we want to find things there, we have to do good geophysics. That's a given. We have to have good targeting, but in the end, we've got to drill it. So our rationale is very simple. That is, if you want to find more deposits, you need to be able to drill. You need to be able to do it efficiently. You need to be able to use the data that's collected in a clever way. And that's what we're doing. Why are we doing that in South Australia? Because the environment is right to pull the groups together to make that work.
Thanks, David. Ian and Chris, who are joining us today as well, collaboration isn't just something that happens between companies or in research. And, the government here thinks of itself as an important collaborator to help support projects as well. From the Western areas and the CODA minerals perspective, as a group of companies who are working on a variety of commodities and that you've engaged with government, what potential has this given or enabled you on your search for discovery?
Yeah, in exploration generally, it's really important to appreciate that the goalposts are really moving, and we're exploring more and more undercover these days. And you really do need the best technology and data to do that. So I'm from Western Areas, as you mentioned. We're an Australian nickel producer, and we have a large Greenfields exploration project here in South Australia in the Western Gawler province. And we were lucky enough to make a significant nickel copper discovery in that region last year at the Sahara. And that was a really important breakthrough for us in a very underexplored part of South Australia. And we see the value of taking on large strategic projects such as that on a regional scale within the state. I think it's a long road, long path to get to that point. And we've really got there with the support of the South Australian Department of Mines and the South Australian Geological Survey. And I think it's really the first stop for any explorer in South Australia. There's lots of data there that's freely available. And, we really use the geological team there as a sounding board to understand the geology. It's a very knowledgeable group and has a lot of long-term experience in South Australia. So that's really invaluable to us. We've always got a captive audience there, and really great to discuss our projects or your ideas with that group and get some insight. So I think that's quite unique in South Australia. Essentially like an extension of your geological team. You've got a lot of knowledge there that you can tap into. So that's really helped us move forward with some collaborative projects that we've done that have had a strong economic focus as well. And I guess that support is demonstrated through things like the Accelerated Discovery Initiative, or ADI. And that's provided companies such as ours with an opportunity to apply for co-funding for explorers and research projects, and there's significant funding available for the right projects, which is great to see. More to tackle the important questions, as David said. You've got to have the best data, you've got to have the best geophysics, and you really do need to apply new technologies and new understandings to regional greenfields explorer areas to explore in. So, it's really a great way to move forward and build a better framework for exploration. So I'm sure there's plenty of other opportunities out there like that in South Australia that are yet to be uncovered.
Thanks, Ian. And Chris, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, look, I very much echo Ian's thoughts on the collaborative nature of the relationship with the department in South Australia. CODA's come in quite a large land holding, tenement holding in South Australia. Two distinct forms of mineralisation occurring on the tenements: copper, cobalt, and also the more traditional iron oxide, copper, gold in the basement. And coming into that tenure, having the wealth of data and information available historically, so the quality of the Tonsley Core Library, the quality of the geoscientists in South Australia to assist with coming up to speed very quickly in exploration. Also, the geophysics and the airborne EM survey that was undertaken by the government, which has been incredibly helpful for us. And just again, we sort of look forward to our interactions with the department, with the geoscientists in South Australia. We find fantastic sounding board, people who are really invested in helping us understand the area and helping us work better, because we are ultimately exploring undercover. You want to make sure these every hole that you drill is properly risk assessed, is understood as well as possible before you go and drill it. And we found that highly collaborative nature, as well as the quality of the information, invaluable over the last 3 years as we've been systematically exploring this tenure.
And Gavin, to you now, lluka Resources works across remote operations for mineral sands and rare earths in South Australia. And we know that, those remote settings can present challenges for many companies. Can you tell us how lluka has harnessed the potential of these remote South Australian locations and touch on your relationship with the local communities and traditional owner communities in that setting?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Alex. Yes, our Jacinth Ambrosia operation in South Australia is the world's largest zircon mine. It encompasses both mining and wet concentration activities. It's capable of producing up to 120 tonnes of mineral concentrate per hour, which is quite significant. We're located approximately 800 kilometres from the beautiful South Australian capital city of Adelaide and 270 kilometres away from the closest town, Ceduna. So you can appreciate that's quite remote. We were, in fact, South Australia's first ever resource development in a mixed-use regional reserve. Remote challenges exist in remote operations, and I would identify two elements that, from an external perspective, have been critical to our success. So from the very outset, we knew that we had a trusted partner in the government of South Australia. It's our first operation in South Australia, and the company invested around $400 million to develop it. You combine that with its remote location in a regional reserve, you'll appreciate that wasn't a decision that was taken lightly. However, we knew we had a state government eager to work with us, the importance of which is difficult to overstate. For example, pro-development policy settings, institutional memory that comes with the continuity of senior officials in key roles, to a demonstrated willingness to work through issues in a transparent, cooperative manner. Well, the South Australian government is an exemplary stakeholder, and it's a relationship we value greatly as a company. And to the local relationships of equal and perhaps even greater importance is our relationship with the Far West Coast Aboriginal people, the Indigenous traditional owners of the land in which we operate Jacinth Ambrosia. It's extremely difficult to run a successful resource operation without the engagement and support of our local community. And I think this is especially the case for us in this remote operation. Lluka is very proud of the relationship with the Far West Coast people and how it's developed over the past 15 years. And it's something we do not take for granted. It's of our 200-person workforce, our Lluka Indigenous employment is approaching 30%, which ultimately reflects the depth and the strength of our working relationship with the Far West Coast people.
Thanks, Gavin. Thanks very much. And now to Katie. Katie, your role in transformation and readiness, as well as your passion and your activity in the space mining area, is fascinating. And we're all interested to look towards future industries and look to those links between commodities and these emerging technology areas. Where do you see the growth is in South Australia for companies into the future? And do you think there is enough happening to drive this progress?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. There's quite a bit in that question. And firstly, I want to touch on the fact that if you spoke to me about a year ago, I would have just been Katie from the mining sector. But over the last 12 to 18 months, I've been able to take a much more active role in the space sector. And it's made me realise that to truly unlock innovations, you need to look outside of the sector that you're in, or outside of the role that you have, or the organisation that you work in, and try and unlock some of that new way of thinking. And I think that kind of talks to the settings that support innovation, and that's kind of that last piece of your question there. And for me, those settings are both internal and external to the organisation or the industry that you're in. And a lot of it comes down to culture. I think we actually have to believe that we can change, that we can make a difference, that we can respond, and we have to really think about how we carry those biases on the way we used to always do things and not be afraid to try something new. I've mentioned cross-sector technology, cross-sector collaborations. We need these things. We can't do this on our own. And organisations of different sizes and maturities together will drive progress, and we need to really find ways to bring that to life. I think in the resources sector globally, more than ever before, we have to work together. And I think we know that, and we actually are taking steps to make that happen. And I'm really excited about where that's going to kind of go next. I almost say that we're in the age of collaboration now. And, I'm sitting here with my Think and Act Differently shirt on, and that's because Oz Minerals has acknowledged that, and we've taken a step forwards now by launching our own collaboration-focused ideation incubator, basically looking at opportunities that we can try and unlock around things that we've been trying to tackle as an industry for a long time. So how can we put new thinking into that and try and find something new? On South Australia, huge unique opportunities here. It's a mixing pot of industries, and with a strong focus on equipment technology service providers, and coupling that with our great innovation precincts, the entrepreneurial hubs, the real focus that we've got on-ground developments and really getting things in motion, I think, is setting up the environment for some really incredible opportunities going forwards. And I'd really encourage people to look into South Australia and have a look at how they can get involved in some of the ideas we've got here. But also I'd encourage South Australians to look outside and see how they can bring either opportunities that we've created here out to new markets and create new growth opportunities. So yeah, innovation is thriving, and I think we've got to lean into it. So thank you.
Thanks, Katie. That's great. Before we finish up, I guess, and in the setting of PDAC, there's always that one question, which is, for someone who hasn't worked here or someone who hasn't invested in Australia or indeed South Australia, what's the one insight into investing in South Australia that you would want to share?
In South Australia, you will find a supportive government, and you will find mining companies across all sizes that are willing to try your products and innovations, because ultimately everyone is looking for an edge. And I guess commenting on the prospectivity of the state in the context of cover and the variety of mineralisation encountered, covers a technological problem and it can be resolved. But as soon as it's resolved, if you're not holding on to that ground, someone else will jump on it and you'll miss out.
Ian?
My key take home would be to really take advantage of the knowledge base at the DEM, the department, and the Geological Survey. They really are very helpful, and it essentially helped us get started, and takes a lot of unknowns and risks out of the project up front, because you have got that knowledge base there that you can tap into and really get ahead of the game. So yeah, it's a really underexplored area. We're certainly in a very underexplored part of the world, and I'm sure once we crack those codes of exploration, as we were talking about earlier, there'll be a lot more to come out of these very underexplored areas. So yep, get down the survey and have a chat.
And I guess that brings our panel to a close today. We hope we've shared some insight on why South Australia is a good place to do business. Just to wind out, Chris Lim from the Department for Trade and Investment will now give you a bit of an update on how you could touch base, what support is available. So he'll follow us up now. But again, thank you for joining us. A great thanks to our panel. And we look forward to seeing you in person in PDAC in 2022.
My name is Chris Lim. I am a Business Development Manager in the Department for Trade and Investment, based in Adelaide in the state of South Australia in Australia. South Australia has reached potential across the mining value chain, from geological exploration, developing mineral and mining projects, and downstream value-adding secondary processing opportunities. Our mining sector is supported by a strong equipment, technology, and services industry. It coexists within high-tech hubs, research centers, alongside future-focused industries like space and defense, while forging collaborative ecosystems to open doors and inspire new ways of thinking. South Australia's 300 mines and active quarries produced more than $5 billion in mineral sales in 2019. Exploration is the key to expansion, and there are several ways we are supporting your next discovery in South Australia. First, there's Accelerated Discovery Initiative, an innovative program that embraces new tools, ideas, and partnerships through co-funding. Second, South Australia hosts the Digital Resource Information Gateway, or CERIC. CERIC is one of the world's best online collections of pre-competitive data. Boosted by the information source by the CODA Airborne Survey, CERIC is backed up by a treasure trove of physical data at the state's drill core library. And finally, we have unleashed the world's data analysis on our geodata library through Explore SA, the Gawler Challenge, which we hope will create new targets for exploration investments into the future. The importance of critical minerals has escalated in recent years due to their importance in advanced technology, renewable energy applications that will enable our society to transition into a low-carbon economy. With a competitive low-tax business environment, a highly educated workforce, and one of the world's most livable cities, it's no wonder that major resource companies like BHP, Santos, and OZ Minerals have chosen to establish and maintain their corporate headquarters here in Adelaide. Find out more about investing in South Australia's mining sector. Contact myself or any of our Department for Trade and Investment representative offices located globally. Thank you.